Hey guys, today we're going to go back and learn about the mole some more. And so if you remember from last unit, a mole means that there are 22.4 liters of something. But basically what that mole means is just a predefined amount. It's a unit of counting how many things there are. So it's kind of like a dozen means 12. A mole can mean 22.4 liters, but we could also count the particles that are in there. And the number of things in a mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So this is why we were working on scientific notation, so that you can use it for your moles. So if I asked you for a mole of something, you would bring me this many of it, way more than a dozen. That number, that's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, is called Avogadro's number. So the number of things in a mole is Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd things or pieces in a mole. That's how many there are. So we're going to talk about those moles and particles. There are 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles in a mole. But the weird thing is you can have different kinds of particles. So we could possibly have an element, and then the particles would be atoms. You'll know this, it's an element, if it's basically just something on the periodic table, just like one thing from the periodic table. Then you remember you learned about covalent compounds. If you see something that is covalent, then the particle is molecules. If you forgot what covalent means, remember that is two nonmetals. So covalent compounds are made of molecule particles. And if it's not that, if it's not an element and it's not a covalent compound, then it's something that's called ionic, and then the particle is formula units. Here's the important part. All of these particles, when you put them in their fences, you will use Avogadro's number for all three of these. So wherever you write one of these, put Avogadro's number next to it. That's the point, okay? So where you see this particle here, it could be atoms or formula units or molecules. That's up to you, okay? Here's the thing, these are a little bit long to write, and I know that our fences already get kind of complicated. So let's talk about abbreviations. If you want to abbreviate atoms, you could just put an A, or you could just write atoms, because that's not too bad. You need to be really careful with molecules. Do not shorten molecule and just write mole. Those are two different things. So let's agree to make molecules MC, okay? Do not write mole. It is not the same thing as a molecule. You must use MC instead, okay? For formula units, if we do this, that's not super nice to say to somebody. So instead of that, let's make it fun. So F-U-N for formula units, and that'll shorten up what you have to write in your fences to help you keep those things straight. So let's see what we can do. Here's the number that I'm given in the problem. So remember your fences, that's where you start. 2.34 moles. Nothing down here, and remember what's up goes down, so I'm going to put mole down here. Now I want to turn this into atoms, so that goes on top. And then you're just going to think about the numbers. Mole always gets a 1 with it. Atoms is a kind of particle, and so with our particles we write Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Now you're ready to put this in your calculator, so you're going to do 2.34 times 6.02 E, don't forget that E, 23, divided by 1. Okay, when you do that, you're going to get 1.40868, and your calculator says E24. And so, don't know what that little line is. What we're going to do, it doesn't say it on your paper, let's round that to the hundredths spot. I forgot to type it onto that question. So the hundredths is right here, second place after the decimal. The 8 though means we have to round it up, so it becomes 1.41, and don't write E, you're a human, you're not a machine, so humans write times 10 to the 24, and the last thing is we need a unit. We were solving for atoms, so that's what goes there. It's also whatever the last thing is in your fence on the top, that's the unit for your answer. Alright, let's try the next one. Let's find the number from the question. I see this. So we're going to start our fence with the number from the question. I'm going to abbreviate formula units to fun instead of swearing. Formula units is up, so formula units is going to go down. I want to turn it into moles. Okay. Then you just think about your numbers. 1 is always the number for the mole. Formula units is a kind of particle, so you're going to do 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. When you put this in your calculator, you're going to times on the top, but be sure to use the E. Don't push times and 10. It won't come out right. Okay? When you do that correctly on your calculator, you're going to get 66.11295,681. And again, I forgot to write it on your paper. We're going to round this to the tenths place, which is here. I'm going to leave it at 66.1, and we were looking for moles. That's the unit that goes on my answer. Okay? So that's all there is to it. Pause the video. Try the questions on the bottom, and let's see if you get the same answers as me. Alright, so here are answers for all the questions on the bottom. Make sure you've got units right. Now if you got something wrong, if something is weird, I'm going to go through all of these questions so you can watch all of them, some of them, it is up to you. Alright, so in this one I'm going to start with the 2.0 moles. Moles up, moles down. I want to convert it to formula units. That goes on top. 1 with the mole. Formula units gets Avogadro's number. Now if you have that work right and you got something different, double check what you put in your calculator. Make sure you used your E. My calculator says 1.2 times 10 to the 24. That's already rounded to the tenths place. And formula units. Alright, here, I'm going to take the number out of the question. I'm going to abbreviate molecules with MC. Do not write mole. Molecules is MC. Don't put anything down here. Molecules up, molecules down. I want it into moles. Moles gets a 1. Molecules gets Avogadro's number. If you have this right and you got a different answer, you put it in your calculator wrong. Make sure you're using the E. Do not push times. Do not push 10. When I put this in my calculator, it just says 2. To make that rounded to the thousandths place, I need 3 after the decimal so I can put those zeros on. And because we want mole, that's the unit for our answer. Okay, here, pull the number out of the question. Formula units, fun. Don't need anything there. Formula units up and down. I want to turn that into moles, which goes on top. I put a 1 with the mole. Formula units gets Avogadro's number. If you have this right and you got a different answer, you put it into your calculator incorrectly. Make sure that you're using the E and don't push times 10. When I put that in, my calculator just says 1. To make that rounded to the hundredths place, then we just do 2 after the decimal. And because I was looking for mole, that's the unit that goes on my answer. Alright, here, pull the number out of the question. Nothing here. Moles up, moles down. I want to turn that into molecules, which I'm going to abbreviate MC, not moles. That's different. Okay? Moles always gets a 1. Molecules gets Avogadro's number. Alright, and so the next thing you're going to do is put that into your calculator. And mine says 9.03 times 10 to the 24. To round that to the tenths place, I'm going to stop here. The 3 means that I'm going to leave it and not round up. So it becomes 9.0 times 10 to the 24. And I was looking for molecules, which you can abbreviate MC. Do not write mole. That is something totally different. So make sure you're using MC for molecules. So I have 0.75 moles. Don't need anything here. Moles up, moles down. I want to turn that into atoms. Atoms is a kind of particle, so you're going to use Avogadro's number there. 1 with the mole. And when you put this in your calculator, make sure that you use the E. My calculator says what was that? 515 times 10 to the 23rd. And if I round that at the 10th spot, that's right here. So it's going to stay 4.5 because of the 1 times 10 to the 23rd, and I was looking for atoms. Alright, I'm going to take the number out of the question. Molecules, do not write mole. Make sure you abbreviate molecules with MC. Nothing down here. Molecules up, molecules down. I want moles. 1 on top. Molecules gets Avogadro's number. When you put this in your calculator, make sure you're using the E. So your calculator should say to you 564.784 something. If I want to round that to the tens place, that's here at the 6. But if I just write 56, I'm not close. For this 4 that we chopped off, we have to put a 0 back. And I was looking for moles. Alright, next one, I've got 0.35 moles. Nothing down here. Moles up, moles down. I want molecules. Make sure you abbreviate molecules with MC. Do not write moles. That goes with mole. Molecules gets Avogadro's number. When you put this in your calculator, make sure you use the E. Don't push times 10 and a little to the button. Okay? Calculator's going to say 2.107 times 10 to the 23rd. If I round that to the 10th place, that's here, but the 0 means I can leave it. I'm not going to round up. And I was looking for molecules. Do not write mole. That is not the same thing as molecules. Okay, so I've got 1.5 times 10 to the 20th atoms. Draw your fence. Nothing here. Atoms up, atoms down. I want to turn that into moles. Always 1 with the mole. Atoms is a kind of particle. When you put this in your calculator, make sure you're using the E. Do not push times, do not push 10. Your calculator should say to you 0.000249169, which we can't round to the 10th place. So let's put it back into scientific notation by putting my decimal here. It's going to be 2.49169. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 10 to the negative 4, that scientific notation from before. Then we can round it to the tenths, which is here. Becomes 2.5 times 10 to the negative 4, and we were looking for mole. Alright, we got this one. We have 1.5 mole. Mole up, mole down. Don't need anything here. I want to turn that into formula units. That takes Avogadro's number. Mole always gets a 1. When you put this in your calculator, make sure you use the E. Don't push times 10. So my calculator says 9.03 times 10 to the 23rd. The 10th place is here. So it becomes 9.0 times 10 to the 23rd, and we were looking for formula units. Alright, that's it. Let me know if you've got any questions.